there is a law that states that you can a carrier can demand to know what, like the information from the shipper,
Hmm.
actual customer. That is a thing.
So
Um,
so he went to the shipper itself and
well,
said,
I
"What
don't know.
like
Yeah,
what
I
did
don't
you
know.
pay?"
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, like
like that to me is like
I
you
demanded it from TQL, which they probably would have stonewalled them.
right. I'm sure they did. I mean, if it
Yeah,
was
but
us, I'd be like, I'm not giving you the fucking rate.
right. But I mean, the other side of that is that um, I mean that law's been in the books. I remember first time I remember seeing it was like 2007 or something. And I remember thinking to myself, the way the article read was, yeah, you can absolutely do that, but that'll probably be the last time you get a load from that broker.
Yeah, right.
So if that's really the road you want to go down, then do it. But you're basically boxing yourself out of future business.
Yeah. You're doing one and done business instead of
Right.
repetitive business.
Yeah. So I mean, this article that Freight Caviar did on TQL and 44%. I mean that's absurd. I mean that,
Yeah.
but you don't know the circumstances of that load either. And I think that's part of the real discussion that needs to happen here is you don't know what makes up a profit, right? We as brokers provide a service. I mean, I've often said that we're a marketing company for small mom and pop trucking companies. That's what we do. We go out and we find big business and we line up a bunch of carriers to do a specific lane to offer a premium service to our customers.
Hmm.
These are loads that they would not normally have access to because they can't do it in the volume that we can provide. So what did TQL do to earn that money? I don't know. Maybe nothing, which is what they're probably being, you know, stated as. But who knows what they brought to the table? I mean, we don't know what the load was. We don't know a
Yeah.
whole lot of things about that particular thing. I mean, I do think it's excessive, but they run their business how they run their business. They're very successful in what they do. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, yeah, like the
I
first
know
thing
they're
that
in business for what they've done, and they're obviously, doing okay.
yeah.
But
And
um,
being that they're a big company like that, I mean, like I know for us, there's, like there's there is, like you said, it's situational where maybe that customer that on that specific load they do other lanes for and they don't make anything or they lose money on it. And that's the one that wins for them.
yeah, we have some customers have really good paying lanes and they pay about way above market.
Hmm.
That makes up also on the conversely, that makes up for the ones where we lose money on
Right.
or we don't make, what anybody would consider a sustainable living.
Hmm.
But the truck is still getting paid.
Right.
So, you know,
Right.
there might have been a lot of circumstances and I don't know what Pink Cheetah did to what the load was, if it was likely a shorter haul load. I mean, he wasn't going across country, I'm guessing, because you're not going to make 44% on a coast to coast load. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just absurd. But and I I also suspect that part of it is he's mad. He feels
Yeah.
like he's used in that should be distributed differently. I can't argue that. I mean, I know we've paid more when we've seen a disparity in what we've done. I've made sure that we took care of the guys that take care of us, but our business models are a little bit different. They
Hmm.
work on a lot higher volume, and they do provide a service.
Yeah.
They've done a great job, but we probably have more return if you their load volumes are higher than ours, obviously. But
Right.
if you look at pound for pound across their 1,000 loads and our 1,000 loads, we probably don't have as many carriers on those 1,000 loads because we're regenerating the carriers.
Hmm.
This is their 1,000 loads where they may have a higher turnover. I mean, not for nothing, but I've never seen a carrier post a load, post a truck and say don't call if you're from Luramiles.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
you know, and they get kind of a stigma, but you're a big company, of course. People are going to knock at the pillars. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I hope we have someday.
Yeah,
But not
exactly.
for
That's
that,
a
but
good.
not for that reason, like we
Yeah.
have people coming at us for different things, and that just tells me we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Our transparent pricing just erodes this whole argument, just makes it an erroneous discussion. We don't have to deal with it because we. The carriers are choosing the prices, and the broker or the customers, the shippers, whoever it may be, is choosing the truck based on their qualifications, the rating that we give them and the price of the truck. And then it's just priced out and you see everything. There's no discussion about it. We make 10% on each load and it's capped at $500.
Like you were looking to just make enough money to keep the doors open, to continue the service, to continue to build the relationships because the relationships are the biggest thing that matter to us.
Yeah.
That's where the money comes in is building these relationships that make these big moves seem like nothing, you know?
I
It
got an email from Kurt the other day. He's a guy that does those loads out of Wisconsin for us.
mm,
And he goes, "Hey, did you guys load this other guy on this?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, we had an extra load. You can only do the one." And these guys know each other. They go, like a
mhm,
lot of companies do that. All the guys that go to Salt Lake for us, they all know each other.
yeah,
They run into each other at truck stops and stuff. They know, I mean, it's a relationship,
yeah,
right? Really what's happening here is you're seeing an evolution in the industry where people are no longer wanting to do this job the way it's currently laid out.
mm,
The There's a lot of speculation. I mean, I've been hearing that we have a driver shortage forever, but that really
yeah,
doesn't the case. Well, I think what we have is a large amount of driver turnover. And when I say turnover, I don't mean just company to company. I mean guys getting into the business and going, "Oh no, 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 I'm not doing this," and
right.
get back out of it. And they walk away from a whole lot of debt, and those trucks are just floating around out there. So, you know, the used truck market goes up and down. The new truck market, goes up and down. I mean, hell, around COVID, you couldn't even buy a trailer.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember like thinking like
You couldn't
that
get
was
it.
a, I just thought that was a huge problem that nobody was
Other stuff
really
just
talking
sitting
about.
around. Brandon's over there going, "Yeah, I'll buy five of those," and I just ordered 80 Volvos. Like, okay, you
Yeah,
know, what is the obviously things are happening and people are making money doing this, but finding guys that want to pilot the trucks and go long miles and not be home for possibly weeks on end,
right.
those guys are going away. You've got to find the right person for that job. And I think as we've digitized, we talked about that before, digitizing the industry,
Hmm.
it's more romantic to sit behind a desk typing and go home to your family every night than it is to drive around and be a pirate. you
Be
know?
yeah, be like a phone
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
on the phone all day to
yeah.
people.
Your family and stuff. And I watch these guys, the small companies, getting back to what a broker does. You've got these small companies who maybe the owner himself is actually the driver trying to manage all this stuff. It's a lot.
Yeah,
When's he gonna get up to sales? He's got a couple $100,000 in payments he's got to make every month, or I mean,
yeah,
like, obviously I'm paying hundred thousands of dollars, but he's got the equipment to pay for each
right.
month.
He's got
He,
overhead, the
yeah,
overhead costs of
yeah,
running the truck,
yeah.
owning the truck or
The
renting,
weight,
leasing, whatever.
the weight of that debt forces that person to do something different, which enters the broker.
Hmm.
Um, I think also when we've got the discussion of these dispatch companies, I really think that's an ugly look that needs to be seriously addressed because
Looked at, yeah,
well, we talk about fraud so often, and this is like the easiest way to avoid is just don't have those.
right.
They have no dog in the race. They have no bond. I mean, they're fly-by-night operations most times.
Hmm.
And I know a couple guys that run these things. I'm like, dude, the door, your opportunity's closing here. Like somebody's going to catch up to this.
Yeah,
It lasts forever. Enjoy it while you got it. But they're operating as a broker and offering a little bit more in depth trucking type of thing. They'll do the field reporting, whatever that needs to be done.
right.
But these different guys it starts off like a hiring service, right? They're looking for drivers to put with the bigger companies and then go, okay, well, if you're on your own, how about we help you get your authority? Then how about we do this? How about we do that? The whole time they're just consultants, but they really truly don't have relationships. They're calling us.
Right.
If they had a real
Yeah, like
relationship,
you,
they
yeah,
would
and
be calling us.
how many conversations have we had with a dispatcher that we get through the entire spiel on the load, give them
I
all
check
the
with the driver.
information. All right, yeah, let me check with the driver and then get back to you. It's like, why?
Yeah, what was the point of this conversation? You don't.
Just have him call me then. Like if it's got to be him, call me
If
then.
these guys were going to provide a true service, what they would be doing and going, okay, I know that this truck, this driver wants to go here. These are his rates. He'll do it within this threshold. I've
Right.
had this conversation. I know he'll do this. And the call comes in or he calls on a load and it fits that. He shouldn't have to go check with the driver. He's already
Yeah.
had a conversation. The driver should not be out shopping either. That's the other part. Oh, well, he already took a load. Well, what is that? You
Right.
know?
That happens pretty often too. And that's something that's pretty
Yeah,
annoying.
you got these guys running parallel with each other. You're like, well, why are we having this conversation
Yeah.
then? You've already done your job, and then he's doing it for you. Why are you here?
Yeah.
He could have called me,
Right.
you
That's what I
know.
said. Like I would just much rather them call me. Honestly, they know to me, they have a pretty good understanding of what's
The guy
gonna
was picking
happen,
up in
what
an
we
hour.
need. Yeah.
That
There's
it was
no
a same conversation, and he is the driver, the owner, and all this other stuff. And he's
right.
calling me, and I know that I could tell in his voice he needs this load. He's got to go home. I could tell that there's pressure on him to get certain things done, and we had to negotiate. But it was a negotiation direct to the source. It wasn't let me double check. Let me when you put that barrier in there, it's like if you're trying to sell something to somebody, nobody's going to sell this company the way I'm going to sell this company. Nobody's going to sell
Hmm.
this company the way you sell this company. We
Hmm.
can't have, you go talk to a prospect and then they go, okay, well, let me take this back to my people and run up the flagpole. Hard stop. We're done.
Yeah.
You're not the decision maker anymore. So
Right.
that's what we want to do is talk to the decision makers, and those are the owner operators or the owners of the company that have contracted with some jerk to
Yeah.
to, to pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah. And the big well
Or
and to
anybody else.
like the decision when it comes to actually doing like getting load information, things like that, that's when we want to talk to decision maker. But I still
Yeah.
there is definitely like I feel like we have pretty good relationships with the secretaries and things like that. Like those people do,
Oh, no,
you know,
there's a huge difference between dispatchers and dispatch service.
hmm
The dispatchers are actually part of the chain of communication. They have a lot that they're managing. They're doing something.
hmm
Service itself is one removed from that.
yeah,
And because they don't have any real connection to any company, they're kind of on their own. They can stack as many trucking companies as they want, which is their dream. We want to have a whole lot of customers in our stable. They want to
right.
have a lot of carriers in their stable. So the better odds of them hitting and actually getting paid on some of these loads. But then they're also getting paid to manage the services that they offer, the field reporting and so
What
on.
is that typically? The percentage that they like 5, 10%, something like that?
No
Yeah,
idea.
I have no clue.
But if you're a trucking company and you're paying that, then you're also working through a broker. You've got a problem.
Yeah,
You say it is 5%, right?
right.
Okay, well, 5% of the load that we just gave you, plus on top of that, we've made our profit. You know,
Yeah,
if
what's left?
if we made 10% on a load, that's 15% right off the top.
Yeah,
Actually, it's 18. It's closer to 18 because it's, yeah,
right.
5%. At 5%, it runs even more. So I think that you're better off not doing that.
Hmm. Well, and too, like on top of that, too, factoring. We didn't even talk about that. If you have a factoring company in that equation too, then it's another what, 3%, something like that.
Yeah, about 2% right off the top
Two,
of all that. So
right. So,
on top of everything,
yeah, like I,
wait, and that 2% comes off before the dispatch broker guy or the dispatch service
yeah,
is. So it's like compounded interest.
yeah, right. And
You
that's where we're trying to get it. Like with the marketplace, we're trying to do away with
you're not
having to use a factoring company. You
yeah,
know,
it just dissolves that relationship altogether. There's no point to it.
and on top of that, making it transparent with the 10%. So it's really truly only 10% that
Well, look, let's
you're not even being charged that as a
let's
carrier.
roll
It's the
for
shipper.
a second. You're Pink Cheetah. You did a load through the system. You've already said if in this lane, this is what I'll run the lane for.
Hmm.
TQL is not part of the system because they are a broker and they're not allowed to be in the system. So
Right.
the shipper then, the actual shipper, then goes, "Oh, I like this idea. I'll take this truck." The truck's already getting the rate that they're going to get, and the customer's happy with the rate that they're paying. There's nothing bad about that.
Yeah.
Everybody, and that's really the interesting thing about how we've created this was that we've put everybody in a position where they win. And the best deal that you can have is where everybody feels good about it.
Hmm.
You know, the truck is getting what he wants. Could he get more? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's, that's part of it where I think the discussion of like carriers needing more money, things like that, it set your rate higher then. If you think that's what you should be getting paid, set your rate higher, but you're going to learn pretty quick like where the market is because it's so competitive because it's literally your price. They don't even get shown the 10% on top of that. It's after they've actually selected the carrier.
yeah,
So like literally they just see every one of your rate, whatever the number is that you decide as a carrier you will do this lane for. That's what they see.
yeah,
So like there isn't negotiation anymore. It's to put your rate for what you say you can do it for and go do the load.
yeah. And the market will set itself.
Yeah.
If you're a five-star
You
carrier and you charge more than the three-star carrier,
shoot,
well,
you guys can start setting the market rate in the system. You guys start to put your rate in.
what?
You start
Yeah.
doing this load consistently, you're going to drive the market on that lane.
But then you also run the risk of driving people away from the marketplace altogether if you have something crazy. If everybody's asking for $10,000 to go across the street, it's
Yeah, or
just not.
they're not gonna do it. But like you would dominate that specific lane. You know my rate's good. They're taking my truck every week. They're pre-booking the truck a week prior, whatever the
Yeah,
case may be. You now know, like I've got a lock on that. Especially when you're building, when you have like the rating system that we have, and they're rating you every single load, and you're a 5-star carrier, like Jason just said, you go right to the top of the list. And
oh yeah.
why wouldn't it? I don't think if I asked anybody the question of, hey, if you had somebody that was doing an exceptional job for you, doing it at the rate you wanted, would you continue doing it with them, or would you just try to roll the dice and get, I don't even know how much better can it get than that?
You have a
Having the
gambling
rate,
problem.
you have
You
everything.
make that decision, you have a gambling problem.
Yeah, like no matter who you ask that question to, the answer is should be the same. If not, again, call 1-800 gambler. You might have a
Or
problem.
whatever that.
Yeah. But
But and get back to the transparency portion of this. And, TQL is set to go to circuit court in DC
yeah.
to this on September 11th, and it'll be interesting to see how this what transpires. I mean, we've already been saddled with somehow being responsible for trucking company hiring practices, and
Yeah.
if a driver doesn't report that he had a DUI over the weekend, and you know he's out there driving anyway, that somehow becomes our responsibility to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most effective tool that I see driving, just as I have a CDL, but just as a pedestrian driving my car, the most effective thing I see is a parked squad car. Whether they're gunning or not, they're parked.
hmm
Everybody sees it, they slow down. They're suddenly going to obey the law, stop doing whatever stupid shit they're doing behind the wheel, and
hmm
then continue to drive the right way. And it just kind of is that wake up call. Even if they're not actively trying to write a ticket, their presence is what changes the atmosphere, the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
That's really what should be happening. The presence should be dictating the terms of how the group moves.
The rates going week to week
Uh-huh.
and it fluctuating, like say, even if it's like $100 or $200, right? Like not as drastic as like 1,000, whatever. But if it goes up like $100, $200, but fuel really hasn't changed.
Down.
In yeah, or it goes
Yeah,
down
that's what I'm
at
seeing now. It feels going down and the prices are going up. I'm like, all
yeah,
right, well,
like in your just professional opinion and being that you were a driver and that you've been in the industry for 25 years now, like what what drives the thought process that for carriers or dispatchers to even ask for more money when they know like and granted this is somebody that's been doing the exact same load for say every week for the last 3 months at the same rate. And then they just like all of a sudden one day it's like, I need more money. It's like, well, it's
pulling.
the exact same thing.
So it's companies seeing what other companies can get. The
So,
information is much more transparent today than it was back then.
mhm,
We as brokers can see, for example, DAT. DAT posts,
right.
the rate, whatever they think the rate is. So, they
hmm
post a lot of different areas. I think it's always low. but
Hmm.
they put up a number and they say, okay, this is what it probably should go for. And if I'm charging for a service, I'm going to ask for as much as possible, right?
Hmm.
And that's always the goal, right? We want to make as much money as possible. So you've got all these guys seeing that number and going, I want more. I think we can get more. And so they'll start posting their own trucks and looking at this, and the rate is congruently high than the number. If you're adding $400 or $500 to all these rates, that suddenly becomes the market.
Yeah.
So it's really pulling. I mean, these guys are getting it, and
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
no real way to wind that back until the load stops shipping. When we get too many trucks on the road, which is what we're having, what we just talked about, the issue
right.
that we're creating a vacuum right now. The drivers are just not participating, going and doing other things, and just not wanting to do the same job that they were originally doing all this time in the industry. It's just a different deal now. So I think that there's a combination of things that drive that market, but it's always going to be supply and demand. And then,
Hmm.
like I said, the information being shared is at a much higher frequency than it used to be as well.
Yeah. I mean, what you had touched on it earlier, like, in our case, we have lanes that we'll do 4 or 5 loads a day from, right? And then those drivers are talking to each other. They know each other. They see each other at the truck stops. Yeah. They're going to show each other their rate and be like,
Well, you
ah,
get
you
buck.
made $100 more than me. Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, how'd you get that extra 50? Hey, Mr. Jason, how come you're paying this guy? I'm like, come on, you guys are talking to each other.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the guys have that problem because one guy could be doing the exact same thing as another guy. They don't know that the information is crossing at some point.
Right.
And, well, I got this rate out of this guy for this. Okay, well, I don't know what his load was. And they're like, well, it was exactly this. Okay, well, great, but
Yeah.
load pays like this. There's no real way to have a conversation like that because you don't have apples to apples. I mean, they might be different types of apples,
Right.
and that's the closest you get. But I think that when you're looking at the pricing for an actual load, you have to look at so many different variables. It really isn't, and I think that's what makes RFPs very difficult
Hmm.
because it's not that you have to guess what the price is going to be for the next 6 months. And there's a fuel surcharge in there that's supposed to accommodate for any type of market fluctuations. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and think that's why you're seeing much more reaction out of the spot rate market than you are out of these other things. Because I mean, we're all using the same tools.
Right.
How are you competitive if you're all fishing in the same pond? That doesn't make any sense. And you want to try to provide the best possible service, but if everybody's at $100 for something, you now have to have a new metric. There is no lowest carrier anymore. You have to have a new metric, right? If we're all involved in this thing, right? You got I'm not gonna name drop, but you got four different guys all bidding on the exact same business from one customer,
Hmm.
and they're all a match. What does that customer do? You have to build in a relationship now.
Yeah.
So who do you feel most confident in that can offer that rate? Who do you like dealing with? Who do it becomes relational. And I think when we can finally bring relationships back into this stuff, it becomes a much more fluid industry. I talked about that one of these videos that we did a while back that you if you're just going to choose it based on price per mile, you're really not getting what you're paying for because
Right.
we can't offer the same level of service if we're just going to compete for pennies.
Hmm.
We just won't do it. I mean, like we fire customers for that shit. But
Yeah.
you've seen us do
Yeah,
it.
we just say, this just isn't this just
Yeah.
isn't working. It doesn't match the
Yeah.
model that we're trying to provide.
I mean, we're on camera right now, so to be clear, I mean, like you've been with me for 5 years. You've seen it happen two or three times.
Hmm.
Like happens all the time. But
Yeah.
at some point, we have to walk away from a customer going, this isn't worth our time anymore.
And yeah, it's also too, it's also at the same time you are kind of we are looking out for the customer in that instance because we're just telling them like, look, it's just not going to work. The way that
Yeah.
you want to do this is not how we've structured the company to operate, and we don't want to operate like that. I'm sorry.
We should service.
Right. I mean, one of the biggest things
That's
that we
okay.
say, one of the biggest things that we always tell. people when we're talking to them is we are not the cheapest person on the block, but that's because of the level of service that we offer. And the customers that we have understand that, that are actively doing stuff, they understand that.
Yeah,
They see the value in that. And that's why we have
exactly.
relationships that are longer lasting than like the industry average. They say what, 3 to 5 years or one, is it even
Yeah,
lower now? Like
yeah,
two to
I'm sure
four.
it's recoiling, but yeah, I mean, yeah, our longest running relationship right now is banging up at what, 17 years?
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah. Some years are better than others, but it's
Hmm.
an existing relationship. Hell,
Yeah.
I just got a call from him before we started this call.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that I think well and to kind of we can round out on what the marketplace is going to really do for the industry and not just making it easier to post your rates, get the loads, do the loads, get paid, but having it I think it's going to increase the morale of everybody involved because of how fast and easy and just like simple it is. I mean, I think we tried to refine everybody's process of how they do things and put it into just one singular place and make it as simplified as possible while still giving you everything that you need, you
Right.
know? I
Last
mean,
night, oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, 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 keep going. No, go ahead.
Last night I was sitting with the VP of operations of one of our customers, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. I don't have a whole lot of contact with him, but we've known each other for years. And
Hmm.
he asked me, he's like, how's brokering treating you and stuff? I was like, kind of ran through things with the company and so on. Like, he gets a little bit higher view conversation than, the regular question. Hey, how's it going over there?
Right.
Um, yeah, so we were kind of going through some stuff, and I respect him as a industry leader. So I was asking him some questions, hey, what would you do in this situation? Just
Hmm.
bouncing ideas off of people. And I told him, I said, one of the most exciting things we've got going on right now is that we've introduced the tech part of the company, and we've built this marketplace, and we're launching here. We got the soft launch coming in October, and then the full
Hmm.
launch in 27. And he goes, "Tell me about this." I said, "Well, think of it as if your 9-year-old granddaughter wanted to ship a load. She's used to using Amazon, so the layout is perfect. I
Hmm.
said, it's just like that." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "My granddaughter could do this. Is 100% confident she could do this."
Yeah.
Absolutely. I said, "We've made this so transparent and so easy to do that it's almost impossible to screw up. I'm sure somebody out there will find it, but right
Yeah.
now we've tested and tested and tested. We can't find it yet. But we've created a system that really just takes out all the unnecessary parts of the logistics environment, right?
Hmm.
There's no mysticism behind what we're doing. It's very straightforward stuff. Here's my load. Okay, here's the trucks that pop up for that load. I want this one. The truck accepts the load. They go and pick up the load. They upload the bill of lading into the app so you can see it too. Everybody goes, "Yep, good enough. Carry on." Driver goes to the delivery. I'm at the delivery. We can see it on the app. Everybody's getting emails and notifications that everything's cool. If something's going wrong, they get notified about that. I'm like, you can't make this easier.
Yeah.
I think we've distilled it down to the most basic form of logistics and taken off all the garbage and
Yeah.
then function correctly. So we don't have overlapping systems relying on each other.
I
We really cool toys coming up, but the MVP is gonna be awesome.
I was just about to say that I feel like too it's a pretty encompassing system to where if you're a company that's doing like $500 million in freight a year versus $1 million in freight, $500,000 in freight a year, the platform can handle both sides of that. Like if you have hundreds of loads a day, you could use it through the system. If you have one a day, you could use it through the system and it would work exactly the same every single time. It does not get overloaded. I actually commended uh, the dev team yesterday on how fast, when you make an action, how fast the next
It's
page
awesome.
appears
Yeah,
on
really cool.
any of my devices. I've went through different browsers, I've went through different devices, and every single one, even if the device itself was slow, like I had to update the iPad or the tablet, and before that, it was lagging on the iPad, but when I would hit go on the site, it was so fast, and I'm like, this
Yeah.
is crazy. Like this is actually insane.
So one of the things he asked me last night, which was kind of funny because of how I know him, he asked me, he goes, "So I could replace my logistics department with them?" With this, I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." I said, you know, from an owner or from a manufacturing standpoint, right? You want to be good at the things that you do.
Hmm.
Bakery, a massive bakery operation makes cakes and breads and all whatever they make. They don't ship loads. That's what we do.
Hmm.
We can do is put you in control over that situation and give you full confidence in that and not have to spend $100,000 on a logistics professional. You know, it gives you all the things that you need so that you can competently do this and have the confidence in your decision
Yeah.
and see
Plus,
it full way, or go back to doing what you're doing and let it notify you if there's a problem.
yeah. And on top of that too, there is the catch-all for uh using the platform in the event that your load isn't like there's no matches or anything, you can still divert that to us as like a traditional brokerage. We still are operating the traditional brokerage. So if you're like, I need to move this load and there's no option, hey guys, can you help me out? Yeah, sure, no problem. That's what we're here for. You have questions about something like um you're running a load and you're confused about a notification or anything like that or where the truck is at, anything. Like we are here to help you guys navigate the system. That's why we built it was so that we can give you guys the ability to, like Jason said, take control of your transportation department and not have to spend an arm and a leg on a logistics department that realistically you don't. And I get this is nothing against anybody, but you don't know what to look for when it comes to finding that logistics professional. And it might just be somebody that's been in logistics. It might be somebody that was a dispatcher, like Jason just said, and they kind of have an idea, but they
Yeah.
don't really understand like how it works, how to
A
ship
lot of
stuff.
ex-drivers fall into that position, actually. They want to be
Yeah,
at home. They have a friend, they've met the company, they've had that relationship, and like, yeah, sure, come on in, let's get you a
right.
job. And you know, the thing that this provides is no more taxes, no more vacation time, no more sick days.
Hmm.
I mean, it just doesn't exist, you
Yeah.
know? And the point isn't to replace people, it's to augment the system, to
Hmm.
just make sure that it's better. If you want to pay somebody to sit there and click buttons, cool, I don't care.
I mean, yeah, you could
Get
pay
rid of
some,
it.
you could pay somebody to do it, but the point of that too is if that person had this tool, had the marketplace to be able to put the loads in and do everything through one very neat and organized marketplace, how much time does it give back to them to go do other things that they are actually good at? Like I don't we talk about this in other videos and in other settings, but like AI and the use of new tech platforms, all that stuff, it's never going to necessarily replace what a human can actually do or the interactions and things like that. So let's get your salespeople or your logistics department or whatever, these people that are probably in sales to some degree, get them back out there talking to people about your business, about what's next. Hey, what else can we bring in? Like that's how you make the most of that. If you have somebody or you really want to have somebody, or you're like, ah, well, I could get rid of them, but why? I don't love trying to fire anybody. I don't want to replace these jobs, but this tool augments the people that you already got in that position to just make them that much more effective and then build their day out more.
To that
Shows you
point,
how much can you really fit in a day. Like
yeah,
this
maximize.
tool
It
cuts
compounds
down on
time.
that time. Yeah, 100%.
You struck on something really kind of important too. The company does work with AI. We have machine learning. We have a lot of things that we use, but it's not reliant upon it.
Yeah.
So it all works in concert. But in the off chance that you do need an answer from somebody and you have a question, you can actually call us. You can
Hmm.
email us. People will respond.
Yeah.
We've talked about having an AI bot and they're answering. I'm like, I still love it.
Yeah.
I think we still need to have that confidence in being able to call somebody and go, yeah, okay, no, this is what you're looking for.
Hmm.
And have that and being able to, okay, no, this is what they said, this is what happens. They emailed me some instructions. They showed me on the website where to find this answer. So if happens again, I can go right here.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, we're
add,
gonna have we're gonna
adding
have plenty of
additional value.
videos too.
Oh yeah.
Like plenty of videos on walkthroughs and things like that. So if you ever have a question, like we will send you the direct link to the video walkthrough of how to do it and be on your way. Never have a question again.